Yeah, I knew about that.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good Friday evening, everybody. Welcome to a very special Friday happy hour show. We're going to interview John McLean, who is, look, Cookie always knows when the show starts. He jumps right in the picture behind us.
Stop.
So I got dressed up for the show. As you know, tomorrow night is a very special night on Fort Myers Beach, or a tad off Fort Myers Beach. It's the Lovers Key Gala event, finally back after...
Is it gala or gala?
Karaoke, gala. What is it, dear? I don't know. You're the expert on... You're the wordsmith in the family.
I feel like it's gala.
Yeah. So that's tomorrow night. And I am getting all dressed up for the red carpet event. We're going to be introducing everybody on the red carpet.
You going to get gussied up?
I'm going to get gussied up. Going to break out the iron and make sure that I'm not even gonna, you can read that yourself. So that's tomorrow night, and we're going to be broadcasting live from Lovers Key. And at like 4:45, I think, is when, because the event's maybe 4:30. The event starts at 5:30, so we're gonna have people coming in on the red carpet, and we're gonna talk to them as they come in. It's really a great event for the Friends of Lovers Key, and so that's tomorrow night. So we look forward to seeing you all there. And the first thing we want to do before we introduce John is give away a pair of tickets to the Red Sox Twins game on Sunday. We have eighth row, 2 seats to the Red Sox Twins game, which is at JetBlue Stadium, which is right up the street from us. Of course, we'll be in the first row because we get tickets from our friends in Boston who are season ticket holders at Fenway.
Like we have anything.
Yeah, we these tickets are courtesy of the Boston Red Sox and the Margaritaville Beach Resort on Fort Myers Beach. So the question is, and you don't even know what the question is. So, and you have to spell the answer correctly, or you can't get it. Of course, you don't have to be present to win, because if you were present to win, you'd be in our house. But you do need to use the tickets, and you can transfer the tickets to somebody, because all I need is an email address. There are 2 backup. Well, there were, because Jimmy Buffett has passed away, but there were 2 female backup singers in the Coral Reefer Band. You need to name them in the chat box right now, and you get the tickets. You have to spell it correctly. That was the next thing. You need to spell their 2 names correctly, and you get the tickets to Sunday's game, which will be the... I know what's going on. Hopefully the sound is okay. You will get the tickets, or you can share. We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. Let's see. We're on Facebook and YouTube. Let's see. Maybe I put it on my personal. No, we're good. We're out there. So there you go. So the first person that types in the 2 backup singers for Jimmy Buffett before he passed away is going to win the tickets. So if you can hear us, type in the chat box. It's very unusual for folks not to be able to hear anything. So shut it here. Shut your phone off. John McLean, everybody.
There we go.
Oh, no, you got to spell, John, you got to spell both names. That was easy enough. And you spelled the first name wrong, John. Okay, good. Thank you very much. There we go. Well, when we talk about anything in our lives, it's totally boring, so we understand why there are no comments, but it's not going to be boring for the rest of the show, because John McLean is joining us live from Fort Myers Beach, and he is now interested in filling the position on the LPA, which stands for the the first name and the last name.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you have to have the first name and the last name. I saw John was Googling it. That's what he was doing when he
No, I was checking to see if you were live.
Oh, yeah. Because usually we get at least one comment that, Ed, you sound like an ass. Let's see.
No,
If
I saw you on
James,
Facebook. You're good.
Wait, James got it. Nadira. Nope. Sorry, James. You spelled it wrong, but you are very close. James is very close. Yes, parrot heads know this. So, John, as we're watching folks try to Google the answer to this,
One
go right ahead.
serious question. So, John, I was looking. Just remind everybody, who did you work for back in the day?
Oh, so I spent over 30 years in technology, sales leadership, but for the last 22, I worked for AT&T, and it's not a good day to say that.
John.
What the hell happened?
And the worst part of it is, for a lot of it, I was actually in their business continuity and disaster recovery practice. So I actually know what they have built into their systems, and it's
Well, that was a
exceedingly
disaster
rare
the
for
other
this to
day.
happen. Yeah.
Do you think that was? I mean, do you think that was a mistake that AT&T somehow made, or it was you think it was a state actor that really hacked into that? Because it was crazy.
Yeah, number one, they never tell you, regardless.
Okay.
They just won't. They do a root cause analysis internally, and it's just something that they keep very close. I honestly believe that they did a system upgrade and weren't able to back out of something properly as quickly as they wanted. Often that's something that happens when you're starting up a new system. You run it, you try it, you make it go live, and then there's a rollback process if you're mess it up. And I think that's what went wrong. I do know that AT&T's network, which is the largest in the United States optical network, it sees thousands and thousands of cyber attacks every single day, and it thwarts them. It uses so much technology. It's incredible. I'm
sure Greg Skasny would be able to explain that in more detail that nobody would even be able to understand.
Yeah.
Our daughter thought the world was coming to an end because she could, because she couldn't text anybody.
The good news is, right, we saw it even here after Ian. I mean, AT&T came in with what they call cows, which are cellular on wheels. It's not even, this is an AT&T home territory, right? And yet they were able to open up their network and allow everybody else to get on that couldn't get on some of the other networks. So there's a lot of work that these very large telecommunications companies do to assist each other in times of trouble.
So, John,
sorry, I just
yeah, that was a good
way
one.
to start.
It really was, because it was so relevant to
poignant.
Yeah. Well, you're the smart one. So, John, I mean, I don't think we knew each other before the storm. I mean, but after the storm,
Ed, you and I met the morning in the park and ride parking lot.
Wow.
When I was wandering around, and Dan Allers was the only one that showed up to try and get some, put some sanity into what was going on down there. And in fact, my wife and I pulled off to the side of the road before they opened up the parking lot, and we had the local sheriffs tell us to get back in our car. And I said, no, I've got some friends over there I want to go talk to. And you happen to be the friend. You were up there with a light on. Oh. We didn't know each other, but I just wanted to get and find out what was going on. And we have met multiple times, but certainly we're not, we're friends, so friends.
Just for a little background for anybody that's new to the show, and a lot of people are new to the show since the storm, when the storm hit, the town government at that time was trying to figure out not only how to keep people off the island so the fire department and the search and rescue could find people or look for bodies or whatever. They were trying to figure out how to get people back on the island in a timely fashion so they could get to their homes. And they came up with this plan to start busing people from the park and ride, the county park and ride, which was fine, except for the people were there and the government didn't show up in time to give them any direction. And so I was standing there and I started texting with Dan. I said, Dan, nobody's here. The town manager's not here. The mayor's not here. These people are waiting for you to show up. Yeah. And that lasted for a day. After that, it was just like, open up the bridge. Everybody's going on. This plan was dumb to begin with, and it didn't work.
Well, here's the funny thing. We actually live on the south end of the island. And so for us, we weren't allowed to get on the buses. And we actually, so our main house was in the south end near Beach Theater, but we had just built a rental house here at the north end on Delmar where the Shamrock is. And so we were going to use our Shamrock address to say, hey, look, we can get off at Times Square and walk to our house. And they were like, no, you're not on the north end of the island. You can't do that. And that was Roger that was saying that to us. And we just looked at him and said, forget this, and walked right around them and got on the buses and sat down and just were completely silent. And they tried to tell people or they sent people to get on the buses to try and find out where we ended up. And, nobody ratted us out. And we ended up getting dropped off, skirting underneath the bridge. And we walked all the way to Egret Street to see because we knew that house was, I mean, first we checked on Delmar, but it was a new house and it was still house. It was fine. But we went to Egret and it was totaled.
Look, I know there's no rule book for this and and you can't really blame anybody, but to not allow people to get back to their homes where everything is, I mean, it's almost un-American to have some kind of thing set up where these people who you told to get off the island can't get back and see that they have nothing left. I mean, I know there's no rule book, so I'm not.
Well, there's no rule book, and there was a lot of looting that went on in spite of all of the efforts they put in.
More looting than people know.
I'm sure that part of that was to make sure people weren't. I mean, you lived there, but to make sure people weren't falsely getting on there to start.
We had our IDs, we had our hurricane passes, we had all our stuff, right? I mean, it was just very poorly handled.
So, John, give people an understanding of your background. I mean, who is John McLean?
Okay, so I'm 57. I've been married to my wife for 33 years. We met in college, and we have 3 beautiful and very talented daughters that are often making their way in the world. We actually moved to Florida in '95. We went to Tampa before we had kids, and we just absolutely fell in love with the Gulf Coast. And actually the twins were born there, but then because of work, my company got sold. So we had to move, or for work, we moved, and we went to New Jersey for 20 years, but we always wanted to get back to the Gulf Coast. And anyways, we came down, fast forward, we bought a place on Pine Island and would go there with the kids all, over the holidays, etc. But we kept driving to Fort Myers Beach for the beach. So then we bought a place in Fort Myers Beach in 2014. And then when the kids were off to college, we just picked up and moved here full time in mid 2019.
So at some point, did the storm get you thinking, okay, I need to get involved? Because after the storm, I apologize for not remembering you from that day at the at the park and ride. But after the storm, I mean, you're at Diamond Head at every meeting. You're watching what's going on. Were you doing that beforehand, or you just thought, okay,
I'd never done anything like this before. It was a couple of things, right? Number one, I was working, trying to be a husband, a father, and worried about my career and everything else. So I didn't have the time. I had by that point had basically retired, so I had the time, and I had a great deal of interest. Not only because I obviously, like all of us, we love this island so much and are completely invested in it, but I knew how it was just really poor the way it had been managed previously, and so I don't know why, but I just took such an interest in how does it actually work? Like, how does a municipal, a town, a village work? And the only way that I found to do that was to go to the council meetings and go to the LPA meetings. And it's incredible what you can learn. And because I'm here, at Delmar, I can walk across to Diamond Head. I don't have to watch it on your feed or the town's feed or what have you. And also, more than anything, if there was something that I wanted to say or thought that might add value, I was able to say it. And I tried not to just spout off on my opinions and things like that, but actually give them feedback when I felt there was a reason to do so. And you know what I found was that, my God, they really want to hear it. They're really looking for direction from the residents and the business owners, and they want that feedback.
Yeah.
So that was really the start of it. And then I just kept enjoying it. And to the point where I don't know how far into it I got, but it wasn't too long that I was actually like downloading and reading the packages before the,
I do the same thing.
Yeah. There's a lot in there, but you don't have to read it all. You just got to, get the staff report or the, whatever, relevant.
I say,
so as far as time, to serve, you certainly have the time now and have been doing it anyway. So you have the time to put into it.
Well, I certainly expect that it's going to, if I'm lucky enough to be selected, I certainly expect it's going to be a lot more prep than what I've been doing just as, an interested party. But yes, I have plenty of time.
Well, look at it this way, John. John King's on the town council. He doesn't prepare for anything, and he's still there. So I got to tell you a funny story. Like, you read the packets. I love reading those packets. I mean, sometimes they're 400 pages long. And so one time I called Jim Adderholt up and I said, Jim, listen, on page 85 of the agenda that just came out on Monday, I'm asking him a question about that. He's like, Ed, I haven't even had a chance to download the agenda yet, and you're asking me about page 85. So, I mean, you really have to be into that. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a town council and LPA meeting.
I would actually say there is, but I would give a lot more leeway and credit to those council members, because the amount of effort and work that they're doing that I'm aware of, and I'm not them, they're at like every meeting. Each one of them is carrying a load that we couldn't be more thankful for.
So, you ready? I mean, let's start peppering him with questions now. He's watching YouTube on his phone right there.
No, I'm not. I don't have it on. I just wanted to check if your feed was up. So I purposely don't want to see the comments while I'm speaking to you.
John King just sent me a text. I'm not going to repeat what he said. So.
All right. So, let's see. We talked about the time. Are you in favor of or against giving developers more height and or density, or do you want the LPA and the town council to stick to the comp plan and the LDC strictly?
Yeah, so that's it's really a good question. It's really relevant. I want to be really clear. I'm ding the bell. I'm not
somebody watches the show.
Not anti-development at all. Okay, not at all. But what I am against is unrestrained development and stuff that goes against the wishes of the residents. And obviously, not everybody is going to agree. We've seen this, right? But there has to be balance. There has to be give and take. I've spent my career selling really large data center projects that take negotiations and they take back and forth. So there's guidelines that are in place that help guide that. And then there's processes by which, people can apply. Now there's some things that are broken. There's a couple of things in your question. Number one is, let me say, first of all, the comp plan, the comprehensive plan, I think is visionary. It's an amazing document. It's got some details in there that are contradictory and need to be cleaned up. And they're going through the process of doing that right now, taking some of that stuff out, taking things that are in the comp plan and should be in the land development code, moving them from the comp plan to the code, like heights and densities and things like that. The comp plan's meant to be the vision, right? And although it was written in 95 when we incorporated this town, it took what was in place and look to the future. And that's really not much has changed other than massive destruction on this island. That vision is still, I think, in my opinion, really relevant. Now, when you get to the code, that's a whole different kettle of fish, right? That's like a Frankenstein. It's just got pieces that were tacked on and built upon and everything else, and it needs to get cleaned up. It absolutely does. But that's those kind of the way I feel it. And as far
Sorry,
as
John.
heights, et cetera, I'm a real fan of the nodes and the different districts that they have. So you do development in the right place.
John, just I don't mean to interrupt, but
Here he
the
goes.
whole node thing with that consultant that the town has, it completely, to me, I think it goes over people's heads. They're concerned about redevelopment right now with their homes and these projects that are coming up. So just to be specific, I mean, yeah, the town council and the LPA have said that they voted that they want to stick to whatever that is now. Now, maybe it'll get some tweaks and things like that, but they have voted twice in joint sessions that they want to stick to that. Now you can go through the CPD and then you can ask for this and that. And that's a way out. That's a way out of the LDC and the comp plan. You can go through the CPD and you can ask for this and ask for that.
Yep.
Are you in favor of the outrigger London Bay proposal as it is proposed right now? Yes or no?
That's really not a fair question because we don't have, like, I've seen
Why is that not a fair question?
Because I haven't, number one, I've seen the designs of the Neptune, of London Bay, et cetera. I went into London Bay very, very skeptical and went away thinking I've got some concerns. But that's the whole process by which I hope to be able to see and influence some of these going forward. So I don't really want to talk about this project is great. This project is bad.
What we do, and everybody else on the island does. But so, I mean,
I'll tell you my philosophy of how I'll approach it.
But you're going to sit in a seat where there's an important vote on these. The proposal went in today. Went in yesterday. It's in at 17 stories. It's a 17-story building. Are you a yes or a no?
I can't tell you that. I think that the project looks really good. Let me tell you that.
Yes.
I think it's got a lot of real benefits. I think it's in keeping with that part of the island. I think it's, if you look at the south end of the island, there's big buildings all up and down there. So there's a lot that I like about it. And there's some things I have some concerns about, primarily around access to Charlie's and what's going to happen. Are they going to use that as, the boat ferry from Salt Leaf over in Estero, things. So there's so much more that needs to be understood before I can go thumbs up or thumbs down on any of these.
Go ahead.
I think when they presented, and correct me if I'm wrong, which you often do, when they presented at London Bay, and there were questions that came up from the community about Charlie's, they said it's a separate project. We're not going to get into that. Well, so if you don't have that information in advance of having to express an opinion or make a vote on London Bay, then what do you do?
Well, see, that I was at that meeting. The one that was the Diamond Head one. Mm-hmm. And I heard multiple times what you just said, Kim, which was, oh no, we're concentrating on the beach side and we'll get to Charlie's later. And Mark said that several times. At the very end of that meeting, and I think it didn't even get captured in the feed, I actually asked a question about that canal and was the intention to be using it for connected. I think I said something about, I understand they're two separate developments, but are you looking at connecting Salt Bay and Estero to what's happening here? And he said yes. So I don't, once again, there is no plan, but I don't think I'm making things up when I believe that that's their intent to do so. So yeah, more information is needed, no question. And on the other ones, like,
no, not yet. We got them on the list.
Because that's what I have to say about that.
Well, okay, so you didn't answer on, which is fine. You don't need to answer anything we asked, but you didn't really answer on the outrigger. You said you have some concerns.
Yeah.
But you didn't, because the reason I asked is because there are 5 council members that are going to watch your interview and try and figure out where they stand. There are pro-development council members, and there are not so high on. I mean, and our page is not a good guide of voters. I mean, people that say, for some reason, the outrigger has gotten blasted on our page more than the Myerside thing, which, okay, we'll talk about the Myerside thing. 3 times the density that they had before. Are you a yes or no on the Myerside?
And once again, if somebody's going to come and ask for more density, that's fine, right? They can do that. They had a great plan of what they were going to do before the storm. They've got this nice plan now. I've got a problem with increased density. I live here. I know what the traffic's like, the infrastructure and everything else. But the reality is, if we have people that are going to be doing these development plans in order to request whatever it may be, variances in height, density, what have you, density is the one that concerns me the most. I'll be very open about that. That's the thing that bothers me the most. But that said, if they want to come and make a request for any of those things, then we'll say, okay, well, this is a jewel of an island. The value here is so immense that if you'd like to do something that's beyond what we've prescribed, then there's got to be some real tangible benefit in it for the island, for the businesses, the residents, for everybody that comes to this island.
Such as what are your
parking garage? What can we get? What can they get?
So I would say that you start talking about things like real infrastructure, and whether that be transportation alternatives. Jim talks a lot about, and I think it's actually coming to fruition around water taxis and that sort of thing. So there's things like that. There's actual infrastructure like sewers and roads and things that need to be done in order to be able to accommodate people. Personally, I think it could even be beach access, but it's more than just, okay, here's a little beach access. That could be a part of it. There's some benefit to having, listen, we love being able to go to Margaritaville as somebody that isn't staying at that resort, right? There's some benefit to that. And that's important. But, having access to a restaurant is a little less beneficial to the needs of the island than making sure that there's enough sewer and water and all the infrastructure things that are important.
When you talk about increasing density and increasing people, and the traffic is already so bad, and you said, fixing, you can't make that road any bigger. I mean, it's
Correct.
as big as it's going to be. So
you can't deny a project due to traffic.
Right.
No, and you can't do that either.
No.
I
So
understand that.
What is the answer there? What is the, it's
Well, I
that's
think the answer, listen, if we all knew the answer was that obvious, it would be easy, right? I mean, it's going to be a
I guess it's
combination
less
of things.
density. It's less
Well,
people.
Less density.
But if you spread them out into the right places in the island, I think the main problem we have here, like for me to get from Egret to Del Mar here, it's taking over an hour in the afternoons, right? But there's no services on the south end of the island. Everybody that's there has to come north. There are the people that, thank God, are building back the island that are all leaving at around 3 or 4 o'clock, right? So that ends up jogging it in. So there's a lot that the traffic's always going to be a problem on the island. But if you can have people like Santini, how important is that for the South, right? If we can get stuff like that built back so that people don't have to get in their cars in order to get dinner and entertainment and all of those sort of things, that'll lessen so much of that traffic. We'll have what we're used to, which is, okay, sunset's coming down, road's going to get clogged, as opposed to all day long stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, anyone that lives on the south end, and I know it's not a ton of people, but anyone that lives on the south end that needs gas needs to get off the island.
You mean now?
Right
Now.
Because Adderall can't get that friggin' 7-Eleven open. I mean, what the hell is going on over there? I mean,
he's close. He's
at least
there.
a gas station over there. So, so the density. So if you were to vote tomorrow on Myra's side, you were yes or no?
I'm not going to answer that, Ed.
Okay, well, I have to ask it, but
you can go down the list all you like. I'm saying that my primary concern when I'm not as super frightened of height. I'm not as super frightened of some other things. Density is one that I think has a real tax on the people, and that's one that it needs to be looked at. So that's kind of my personal views going into these things. But in every case, what we've seen is a rendering of a drawing, And yes, it'll have 17 floors or 12 floors or whatever it'll have, but that's not the package, right? That's not what actually gets brought through the staff and then presented to the LPA and then worked upon. That's not what it is. We have preliminary design information right now, and that's not enough to say yes or no.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the Moss Marina project? You like how it looks?
In terms of density.
Well, I will say this. That's a lot of heads in
Yeah.
beds, in my opinion, a lot of heads in beds, but at the same time, it's in an area that's really an entertainment district of downtown, right? It's more appropriate for it to be there than to be where the church was, for example, or something mid-island, right? It depends on where it is, how it fits with the neighborhood, how it benefits the whole island in one way or the other. It's about all those things. You can't just say, oh, it's over 10 stories, so it's bad, or it's over 4 stories, so it's bad. You can't do that. If we do that, we're not going to have any projects, I don't think.
Neptune, same thing.
Same thing.
Okay. So the LPA, I watch all the meetings because I love watching the meetings, and so I watched the last LPA meeting. I think they spent 2 hours on a pool. I don't know if you were there or you watched it in a neighborhood. I mean, I don't know how those neighbors are going to be able to live together.
It's a shame. It's a real shame because that actually got passed by the LPA, went to council, and then the neighbor objected. And so council sent it back to the LPA to say, hey, take another look at this. We're not sure you had all the information. And, that's really appropriate for them to do, right? Let's find out what's going on.
Yeah, but my point is we're rebuilt. You guys are we don't live there. You guys are rebuilding an island. You were talking about all these projects, and the LPA spends 2 hours on somebody's pool. There's got to be a way to allow the staff to take care of that. It's just crazy for the LPA and the town council to worry about one person's pool. It's not at this time. Not at this time. It's a different
agree
time.
With you. But there's like 3 different developments that are going on, right? There's the residential, there's the small business, and then there's the large investor type development. And I think that the staff and under council's direction has been told to try, and they have been doing it under Andy's leadership, have been trying to find a way to get yes. And I have a personal experience with that because I'm going to elevate my house, but the setbacks of my side setbacks on one side are 7.5 feet, which they used to be totally fine when it was done, but then increased to something more like 10 feet. And there was no way to do that within the code. I had to go for a variance. Well, the staff understood that this was something that was not foreseen in the code. So they went and changed the code instead of making me go and get a variance, that's exactly the type of behavior that you want.
Sure.
We're seeing it on the small business side, right? When everybody's recognizing these requirements for parking spaces for businesses in a part of the island where we're trying to, dissuade people from getting in their cars. We need to fix that.
It's not being fixed fast enough, though. I mean, that's the thing.
Nothing is ever fast enough, right? I mean, I'm hoping that they start on the elevation of my house. I just got an update this coming month, right? That's how long it's taking. I've got permits and everything. That's not the problem. It's getting the work done. Everything takes time, but it's all moving in the right direction, and the will is there. That's the thing.
So part of the thing that maybe you can change if you get on the LPA is that you're giving, like, you sometimes even watch Austin try and figure out, not Austin, Chad try and figure out, okay, what do you want me to do about these turtle lights? You're asking me, the code says do this with the turtle lights, yet the business can't open because the turtle lights are a mile away from the beach. Give me some direction. And they're waiting for people to give them direction to make it a little bit easier so that you don't have to go through all this bullshit.
Right. And everybody, I think, is supportive of doing that. The question becomes like, when you're talking about variances, though, where does the impact of what I want to do impede on somebody else, my neighbor, right? Those are really difficult ones to deal with unless it was something that changed, or you're not trying to build back or what have you. I've got a lot of empathy for those people because, they had plans and everything ahead of the storm, ahead of all that stuff, right?
There's
But
no rule book.
if it
You're right.
impedes on the neighbor, that's a hard thing to call against.
So give your grade of this current town council. How are they doing?
The council, I give them a solid A, and I go down the line of, number one, the work ethic, the amount of energy that they're having to put into doing this job that they did not expect was going to be the job that it is. You've got, Dan going up to Tallahassee and now DC and coming back with bags of money. And you got Jim, as you know, in the South End and what he did for Beach Elementary and the CVS. You've got Karen working with her stuff that she was on her way going to another one of those Lee County things. John's got his fiscal response. They number one, they are working as a unit, which is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Which is not easy when you can't talk to each other about it, what you're doing. I mean, I'm not criticizing the Sunshine Law. It benefits us, but it is somewhat of a challenge sometimes for them.
Well, it's frustrating because that slows, like in business, right? 30 years in business. Could you imagine running a business where you got to get together once a week or once every 2 weeks to sort it out around a table? Come on, that's not a way you get to making decisions. And yet I totally understand why it's important and why we need them, because otherwise you'd have backroom deals going on.
Yep.
But there's a cost to it.
Yep.
So why the LPA and not town council? Why would you run for the LPA?
Yeah. Mostly, number one, I knew Scott from before, and I think he's really qualified. I don't have any of that experience. Like I haven't been on a municipal board or anything like that in my career ever. And so I thought that would be a step too far personally. And this is the right place for me. I think this is the right place.
Have you spoken to other people on the LPA at this point and say, hey, what do you think? I think I'm getting on. I would like to get on there and help out. Have you gotten some feedback?
Well, I'm in the process of reaching out to people to get some of the people that I've worked with in, Let's Go FMB and some other stuff have been very supportive. So I'm really thankful for that. I'm not like a really well-known entity on this island. Like I don't have a ton of friends down here. We moved here and then COVID hit, right? And then, so it's not like I'm well-known around, but I've tried to get involved where I can. And so far it's been very supportive.
So what is your opinion on the pier, John? I know it's a little bit off base, has nothing to do with LPA, but what is your opinion on? Do you really think Fort Myers Beach? I'm not really sold on a bigger pier.
I know you're not.
You really.
I know you're not, but I am, and I'll tell you why. And it's like everything, right? There's pros and cons to it. If you build a big, nice pier with lots of capacity, maybe you'll get more people, and that'll be a problem. But that's what happens when you build nice things, right? Okay, but the work that Alan and the peer committee did, the analysis that they've done, I think it's awesome if it was 922 feet long, because that's a meaningful number, right? Like that would be just cool.
Sure.
But if you're going to do it, and we just found out there's like $60 million sitting in the TDC that's for stuff like this. And we get so little of it on the beach here. And yet we spend, or our bed tax sends a lot of money that way. It would be certainly nice to have something bigger, better. Obviously, it's going to be more resilient. They're already talking about it being wider. But if that engineering company is looking at two options, then what Karen's gone to them and said is that second option should be something that provides a longer pier, separate viewing. We can't have anything really on the pier other than viewing areas and fishing areas, but just something that's done well. It's a once in a 50-year project.
Sure.
Do it right.
My opinion means nothing other than I'm a taxpayer in Lee County. Is that the town of Fort Myers Beach is not 100% on board with a not all everybody is 100% on board with a gigantic pier, a Taj Mahal pier. And I know Alan hates when I say that, but I don't know what a bigger pier is or a longer pier is, but they've not really made a case. Nobody has really made a convincible case about why there should be a gigantic pier. And on the other side of that is you're going to have more people come.
Yeah,
and
I understand that.
Complain about more people coming.
Yeah, I understand that, but look at where they're going to be. They're going to be in the commercial district of Fort Myers Beach, where we're going to have where we only have restaurants and bars that are available now on this island. That's only going to develop further. That's the tourist top part of town, right? So yeah, let's find a way to get people over and off the bridge without parking all their cars down there, or even if they do get there, they come off the bridge. If they know where to park, they can park and then walk. Awesome. You know,
see, Alan, as soon as we start talking about the pier, Alan jumps in there with comments. He says a wider, longer pier retains sand like a jetty, saving millions in nourishment. Where is that information coming from? That has never been pitched or presented to anybody. Where do you get that kind of information? Just throw it out there.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what a longer pier does do for you for sure is it makes it more resilient, and it gets you to where there's fishing. Because if you've got a pier and they put all the sand on the beach and everything else, you could be fishing in 4 feet of water by the time this is done. Who wants to fish in that?
You know, the unknown is you don't know what the pier is going to look like with the FEMA money, because you know it's going to be more resilient. You know it's going to be bigger than it was. You just don't know what it is yet. And I understand there probably should be. And I've talked to a county commissioner who said, "Hey, ask for 10 million. I'm happy to vote for 5 million." I mean, there's $60 million just sitting around in that fund.
Yep.
It really is. It shouldn't be sitting there. It should be spent on something. I mean, you don't collect taxpayer money and just collect interest off it. That's BS.
It's supposed to be for exactly this type of project.
So if you can get
define it better.
Yeah. But hey, come up with a better pitch.
I just want bathrooms. I want bathrooms in Lynn Hall.
They really had nice bathrooms.
They really need some.
I know. So nice.
That's the type of infrastructure we're talking about, right? We're probably not going to be able to solve the traffic problem, but we can make living here easier, better for both the residents, the visitors, for everybody. Make it as comfortable and as enticing a place as we can. I think that's everybody's goal.
Yes.
What do you think's going to happen down in Times Square? I mean, if you build a nice pier and there's nothing, I mean, maybe that's fine. Maybe you just leave it the way it is.
I'm interested to see how that works, because as we know, right, you got all these different parties. You've got the town involved. You've got separate property owners. From my understanding, they actually have gotten those folks to get together. I haven't been a part of this. I don't know anything on it, but I understand that they at least got them all to get together and kind of decide on a preliminary plan that would allow them to not have to each build elevators and each build bathrooms and all that stuff. So if they can pull something like that off, I mean, that would be just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your grade for the town manager, Andy Hyatt?
I think Andy's doing a great job. I really do. I know that there's, people that listen, nobody's happy about anything. It seems like there's always people that are looking to find fault. But when my personal interactions with Andy, with any of his staff, they have changed from trying to block things to how do we get to yes. And they've done it in a professional manner. They have to follow the rules, but there are no question. They are our advocates working on our behalf and doing a really good job, actually. And that goes for Chad, and that goes, I mean, it's across the board.
Do you think the Murph committee should? Never mind. You did. If you don't want to answer that, you think the Murph committee? Never mind.
I would say if you're staying away from height, stay away from that question.
So, John, give everybody the pitch about why you should be appointed to the LPA.
Okay. The one thing that I do know about the LPA, right, is they have got some incredibly talented people on that. Not some, all of them. We've got people that have been in municipal government for a long time, people that have been in municipal law. We've got engineers, we've got land planners, we've got Anita and Jane with their history of the island and their knowledge of it. I mean, unbelievable group, right? I would be honored to serve alongside them and learn from them as well. But what do I bring? I'm not that. I'm not those things. But I'm analytical. I've got a technical mind. I've been in business for 30 years at like high level negotiations of large projects. I've quarterbacked legal teams, operations teams, technical teams in order to bring them all together to make decisions very collaboratively, doing it, in a way that is open and fair. And I think I could bring that and that business experience, that approach to making things happen, I think is something that would be helpful.
Does your family think you're crazy?
No, they're really supportive.
Nice. Could you see yourself getting experience on the LPA and running for the town council?
I have no idea. I really don't.
You're perfect for a politician.
Right
Perfect
now,
answer.
I'll answer. I answered why I didn't apply for council before, right? And so, would that change in 6 months, 8 months, 2 years? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
right now, I'm
months,
certainly not
right?
ready.
Are you happy with the progress of the rebuild? Do you think it's? I mean, again, nobody had a rule book that says here's how you do it.
How could anybody be happy with the progress, right? I'm not back in my house. We don't have the services that we need. There's plenty to be dissatisfied with, but effort and will are not there. I mean, this island is got so much perseverance. It's got so much heart, and there's not a question as to, will it build back? It's how will it build back? And will it be something that we look around and go, okay, we did the right thing. We didn't just like throw the leash away or not do anything and then look around and go, oh my God, it's another 5 years and nothing's happened. Those would be horrible mistakes to make. And I don't feel like we're on that path. I think we're on a path where we're beginning to get to the projects that matter, and they're going to be, pragmatic decisions. And I think they're going to be the right ones. I really do. And I hope that I have a voice in that.
So John, 20 years from now, 20, 25 years from now, we'll be dead. Yeah.
Be around.
Do you think people, the way you see things going right now, do you think people will look back when, the hurricane is long lost memory? Well, it'll never be lost, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you think people will look back and say, wow, those guys made the right decisions and this place looks the way everyone intended it to be? Or do you see things going?
No, 100% I have faith. I really do. Just because of the people that I've got to know on council and in the LPA. And I have great faith. I'm certainly not looking to say, oh, wait a minute, you guys are all making terrible mistakes. I'm hoping that I can add my voice and maybe a little bit of direction that my personal opinion. But no, I have great confidence in the, not the speed. Nobody is happy with that. Nobody, right? But with the direction and the intent, I'm absolutely comfortable with that.
Favorite movie of all time?
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
That's a good one.
Best band of all time.
Yeah, come on. My name's John McLean. Yippee-ki-yay.
Wait, who's that? Where's that? I'm totally
That's
lost.
Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Oh, best TV show watching when you were growing up.
Oh my God, Hogan's Heroes.
Wow.
Oh,
If you went on a trip across the country, can't be anyone in your family, in an RV, who would you want to interview?
Who would I want to do what?
Ride with you.
Me?
Who would you want to ride?
Oh, Teddy, my dog.
Well, that answers the next question. If you're a dog or a cat person.
Oh, 100%
Really?
dog.
Is that a bag of balloons behind you or some piece of art that?
Oh no, that's our chandelier.
That's
Oh.
look. Sorry, it's too far away for me to see. Very
Yeah,
nice.
no, they're glass bulbs. It's the
So what house are you? So you're not in Egret. Are you somewhere
You're at
else?
Del Mar.
we're at Del Mar, which is the
Where's
house
your
that we had built to rent, and thankfully we
Yeah.
were fortunate to have it, right?
Where is the rebuild of your Egret house?
So Egret said, where is it? We're
No,
hoping.
how far along are you?
Okay, so we're all the permitting and engineering and design is done. The steel has been ordered. I have to cut another check this weekend for the next progress payment, which I'm happy to do, right?
Okay.
And I'm hoping that my house will be in the air by the end of March. But given the way things are happening, we're sort of picking, the next holiday. So we thought it may be Valentine's, and then we went to St. Patty's. I don't want to say Memorial Day. I mean, we got to figure
What about
it out.
Easter?
Yeah, Easter. Before Easter. How about that?
Well, John, man, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time. It's been great to get to know you for the last year, and we wish you good luck on getting on the LPA.
Hey, thank you very much. And I just, you know how much but everybody appreciate everything that you two do for this island. What you did right after the storm was like, my God, but you continue to do it. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon,
All right.
man. Thanks a lot. John McLean, everybody. And I mean,
You grilled him.
I know. And, I think those questions are ones a lot of the people that follow us want to know about. But he did
people were
great. He did
typing
great.
in. Yeah,
I think he's just such a
yeah.
good guy. And I think he's got a good chance. I mean, now we have three folks that are going for that one spot. And today's deadline was noon. So I don't know if anyone else put in their application. I think I would have heard. But Debbie Zakelli, I think I said that right, lives on Hibiscus.
Zaleski.
It's either one or the other.
Sorry.
She lives on Hibiscus. She's put her name in, and it's Ed Schoonover lives down on Laguna Shores, down on the other end of the island. So the town council will decide on.
Are we going to interview them?
Well, we've already interviewed Ed. So I mean, that was for Ed. It was kind of like a question mark. Should we interview him again? But I should repost the interview with him.
Yeah.
And then Debbie, yes, we have Debbie. Actually, we had Debbie set up for next Sunday after the mayor. And what happened was the owner of Santini Plaza said he could come on after the mayor. So I'm just trying to move Debbie back to either Saturday or Friday. But yes, we're going to interview her too and give them all equal amount of time so everybody can see. And hopefully the town council will see the interviews with the folks and decide from there. It's an important position. It's an important spot. The LPA is the first stop for all these developments that are coming up, and we'll see what happens. So a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Tomorrow is the cornhole. I want to make sure I don't get them mixed up. The cornhole tournament is at Diamond Head for the PTO. Tomorrow night is the gala. For Lover's Key. Then Sunday, we're all going to the Twins Red Sox game after the show. So Sunday, we have the mayor on. Tomorrow, we have the new PIO on from Fort Myers Beach. Nicole's coming on. So you get a chance to meet her. We're giving away Red Sox tickets tomorrow. Sunday, we're going to the Red Sox game. But before that, are you biking? I mean, how are we going to do all this?
I got to figure something out for poor homes by Power Block.
I know, Power Blocks for the last 4 weeks. It didn't work out.
The weather and getting sick, it just was a buzzsaw of bad circumstances.
But they've got 4 weeks of advertising, even though you haven't done the bike.
I mean, we may have to hire them to raise our house, and we live way the heck out here.
And then, so Sunday, we're going to do the show with the mayor, and then we have folks from the Shrimp Festival on after him to talk about the Shrimp Festival, which is coming up. The following week, we have the concert at the Women's Club with Stephen Clark and Wayward Souls. Sorry, that's Saturday, and then after that, it's the Shrimp Festival.
The pickleball challenge, I believe, is the 16th.
Yes, the pickleball tournament. I thought it was
the
this coming
dinky.
weekend. You got the pickleball stuff. We haven't even practiced with it.
Well, I want to practice because you stink.
March 16th is pickleball, dinky pickleball tournament. That spot is for the Community Foundation. And so we have the concert, we have the pickleball, and what else? Oh, we have the Shrimp Festival. We're broadcasting the parade live on Saturday the 9th out in front of the Fins Up Beach Club. So a lot of stuff going on.
Thank you to Karen for her nice comment and compliment of all the locals who were working this weekend, when they were down there. So
cool.
And thank you for spreading the love around. So
yep. And thank you all for the coffee donations after the newsletter today. We appreciate
and thank
that.
you for joining us on a Friday night.
We will see you tomorrow live from Margaritaville. We get there at 9 o'clock.
Are you selling?
Oh, for those of you that ordered the yellow jackets, I ordered them. I mean, they're going to take a little longer because they're special orders. We sold about 6 of them. I mean, they're $100 each. So, I mean, they're special orders. So just be patient. And they are nice jackets. I never thought we could sell those, but it's going to be bright. So
yes, we will have to get somebody to video that game.
And we will also be broadcasting live tomorrow night from the Lovers Key event at the big gala.
I gotta do something about
I think they have Peter Bush is the host of that.
Oh yeah,
somebody from. They get a famous person. I mean, they put us at the red carpet. So, but wait till you see my digs for tomorrow. Definitely going to pop off the page tomorrow. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
It better match my blue dress.
Okay, I'll go to the color chart after the show to see what happens. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow live from Margaritaville. Bye-bye.